Yeah.
I don't think there's a good game for the general public. I think
Mm,
there's good game for specific audiences
okay.
because I know my mom loves Candy Crush, and I'm pretty sure you and me won't play Candy Crush on the daily as my mom does. And I'm sure I told my mom. and but at the same time, everything about gaming, in my opinion, it's based on who you are targeting and who's your player. And once you know your player, you can build good games for those specific
Mm.
like players and audience.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another freshly minted Phantom Edge. I have a very special guest with me today. His name is Dante. Dante, ¿cómo estás? How are you, man?
How are you, man? Pretty good.
I'm
Nice
doing
to see
well.
you.
Of course, man. Of course, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm excited to talk about the gaming side of things today because I'm excited about this sector myself. In our previous conversation, you taught me a lot about what you do already and kind of, what you expect. But to get started, Dante, can you let people know who you are, what you currently do, and a little bit about your experience because I think it's a good foundation to guide the conversation.
Of course, yeah. I'm Dante, your gaming Mexican friend. I've been in, I don't know, like in, I think I've been in gaming industry for about 13, 14 years now. I've been all over the place from QA production, but what really fascinated me and like hooked me up in the gaming industry, and that's why I'm staying in the gaming industry. It's when I learned about product management,
Mhm.
like this combination of science, number, and marketing. That's what hooked me up in my work and what I'm passionate about it.
Okay.
And I'm currently working on a company, a Mexican studio called Bagwis, as a product owner, and we are working on our own game, and hopefully we will see this baby seeing the
Yeah.
light in a few months. And I'm pretty excited about everything happening in gaming in Web3
Mhm.
and how the industry is evolving, adopting new technologies.
Absolutely, man. And obviously you have a vast experience in the industry. So I know you have seen some stuff, you've been part of great games. So I guess the first question I have for you, Dante, I'm curious from your experience, what makes a good game? What is the fundamentals that a lot of good games have, or maybe they don't share a common thing, but what do you think makes a good game for the general public?
Uh, that's a hard question.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a good game for the general public. I think
Mm,
there's good game for specific audiences
okay.
because I know my mom loves Candy Crush, and I'm pretty sure you and me won't play Candy Crush on the daily as my mom does, and I'm sure I told my mom. and but at the same time, everything about gaming, in my opinion, it's based on who you are targeting and who's your player. And once you know your player, you can build good games for those specific
Mm,
like players and audience. For example, I consider myself a mid-core and player.
mm,
I never like reach like a hardcore level in any of the games that I used to play,
mhm,
and but I invested like several hours or a huge amount of hours in specific games that I like. I like competitiveness. I even for games that are not designed for being competitive
mhm,
in that way. I find a way to compete with other players, play with my friends, and that's what I value on a game on a personal level.
mhm,
But maybe you will value something different in for different games. So I don't think there's a game for like
mhm.
the general public, even though there are like some casual games that are like overlapping a lot of player personas, right? You know, like
Mhm. Yeah.
Fortnite, it's onboarding a lot of like different players, and some casual games on mobile. We know, I'm pretty sure you know, maybe Clash Royale, where
Mm,
everyone was playing that
yes.
game. So it's not about like a game for everyone, but there are some pretty good unicorns out there that can onboard like the masses.
Yeah. Why a follow-up question to that. Why do you think some games stick more than others in regards to gameplay, in regards to incentives? Like why do some stick more than others?
Well, I think that, in my opinion, I think that started with the business model change.
Mm,
And now we see games as a service.
mm,
Now we see games that are not, there are some still good games that are like delivering a game for 60 or $80. You play the campaign, you complete the campaign, and that's it. Maybe you play for like 3, 4, or 5 months.
mhm,
But it's more rare to see those business models being like successful. You can see those models still working for huge IPs, like IPs that has a huge following. But since like free to play started, game as a service has been huge, and even those like 60 $80 games have services, have events, have like ongoing things happening, so they can keep users engaged. So when you play a game, even if it's for free or have a price tag, you get more than a campaign, than a history. You get the events happen on the weekend, just generated content, people playing for different like collectibles inside the game. So it's not longer like a single line of progression. You have a whole like horizontal progression with different verticals. So people have a lot to do inside the games. It's not that if you have a good product that it's fun,
mhm,
it will be a good business model. You need like a whole implementation as a service to provide constant value, and that's what you see. For example, the big games out there are always innovating in a way, and instead of seeing like Fortnite 2, Fortnite 3, Fortnite 4, you see Fortnite evolving in a different monster every year, and uh, and it's the same game, but it has different like events or features added. So that's game as a service, and that's why some games like last
mm.
um, for years.
Yeah. That's very interesting how you explain the gaming as a service. I mean, I grew up again, I'll say this again on camera. I didn't grow up being a gamer, but I played FIFA and all that. You bought the physical game and you play
Yeah.
with your friends. But I
And even
wasn't
FIFA, FIFA
yeah,
has evolved, right? Like
yeah,
you have the Ultimate Football
yeah,
with collectible cards. You can go to YouTube and see a lot of people like opening cards, and
yeah.
that's the whole video. People like going with this like a dopamine
Amazing.
like shots opening these cards, and
Yeah.
you have a lot of events happening in FIFA Ultimate, and
Yeah.
it's a different monster. Even if FIFA has to be updated like year to year because I don't know the players or the license. I'm not sure why, but
Yeah.
the ultimate it's what it's making the game like evolving and having that service and constant new content going on.
Yeah. No, great distinction, man. Now, transitioning into Web3 gaming and blockchain gaming, some people put a line between GameFi and blockchain games, right? In your perspective, why haven't we seen a crypto game or a blockchain game kind of make its way to a general audience, like you said, a specific audience? What do you think's lacking or not lacking? Maybe we have seen it, maybe it's still underground, but what's your sentiment in the blockchain gaming world?
Well, I will describe it as I will describe it this way. When like blockchain games or Web3 games started, we all know what happened with I think it was 2021 boom.
Mhm.
Like Axie Infinity was huge, and everyone was talking about it because it had like millions of users playing the game. But it was a financial motivator that drove these players there. When the booms like happened and we leave that behind and the market start changing and now the so-called bear market started to happen, the financial motivator couldn't be fulfilled because that wasn't those players were there for like ROI expectations. Like, oh, I put like $10 and maybe in a week I would get 11 and that would be a win for me.
Mhm.
People were having like whole spreadsheets about how
Mhm.
they would get the money back just for playing a game that wasn't a complete game. It was an alpha version of the game, and that motivator was like fading away, and people were stopping playing the games that were like financial, um, that included some certain of financial involved, and that's because what I mentioned earlier, like you need a game for different play personas, and in that specific case, you were attracting people like with a specific motivator or looking for an ROI in return.
Mhm.
They were not like necessarily gamers,
Mhm.
but they were looking for that return.
Mhm.
And when that couldn't be like sustainable, those players were like leaving the game, and
Mhm.
that's what we have right now. It's a whole challenge,
Mhm.
but now the environment is changing. And don't get me wrong, I applaud to Axie Infinity and
Mhm.
Sky Mavis because they basically put a blueprint for everyone, and they like were the first one that received all the criticism, but at the same time they put like a lot of like how things can be, and they made the mistakes so we can like not make it again.
Mhm.
And even them, they are evolving. They're like getting a new catalog portfolio of games coming out.
Mhm.
They have one in Steam already in a beta, and they know that they need to like uh, mm, pursue different like player personas. And
Mhm.
for example, another like popular game would be the Bored Ape, like
The
Dookie
Dookie
Dash,
Dash. Mhm.
the Dookie Dash that attracted a lot of eyes because the winner took home like I don't remember, like 1.5 million or something, just
Yeah.
because he was like in the top of the leaderboards. And that thing, it's you also need to recognize how Yuga Labs know their holders. They
Mhm.
know what profile they have in their holders, so they provide this kind of like incentives for them because they appreciate that. But you don't have the regular gaming looking for Dookie Dash.
Mhm.
That's the thing. And Dookie Dash was a huge success for them.
Mhm.
They were like targeting that for a specific audience that they know will work. And when we think about what would be the current stage of Web3 gaming right now,
Mhm.
it's that they are trying to get out the financial part out of the game.
Mhm.
You don't see that often people using gamify
Mhm.
today. They are like trying to stay away even for tokens. Like, oh, if you can make a game only with NFTs, um, that's something that people appreciate more because you don't need to go through like an ICO just to buy
Yeah.
a game to play a game, and you don't need to worry about that. Even for example, another OG in the space is Gala Games.
Mhm.
They were reducing the coins that they had because they had like one coin for Townstar in the Gala coin. But now they told the audience like, hey, we're going to merge and we're
Mhm.
going to deprecate Tom because too many tokens might not make a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And not because the game is not good, but because the natural life cycle of a game,
Mhm.
like how many years or how many months a game will last. Not all the games are forever. Not all the games last like Fortnite or World of Warcraft.
Mhm.
Like if you play a game today, you might not play it again, like never, or maybe only for a year.
Mhm.
And Web3 gaming is not the exception. Games are going to have life cycles. And
Yeah.
what are you going to do with a lot of tokens and NFT from that game?
Yeah.
So that's a problem that we need to figure it out.
Mhm.
But right now, the bear market is making like the game developers being more smart about how they're developing the games.
Mhm.
And it's right now the conversation is even taking place where if we need to name them Web3 gaming or games with Web3
Mhm.
features,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, it will be a game like
Yeah.
like the others. But
Yeah.
what will be the feature from Web3 that you're going to integrate?
Yeah.
Maybe decentralized voting with tokens, or maybe an open economy, or maybe I don't know, name it, all the things that you can do on Web3.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of like the tendency that I've been noting, being with interact with the other game developers, game founders.
Hmm.
I'm part of like several DAOs where all the members are like game developers, and we have daily conversations about. I have this economic approach, like thoughts, give me feedback, and we have discussions about how it could like end up or if that's sustainable or not. So yeah, with to gaming, I do think that there's a lot of value to be added, but not
Yeah.
for everyone. It's huge value for people that recognize that part or want to learn that part. And I'm pretty happy to see technology being evolved. For example, custodial wallets
Yeah.
that can help like players to know what's happening without the all the difficulties or fictions to get onboarding on Web3.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a gamify. It's kind of being left behind. I don't think it will disappear. I think it will be there, but for a niche audience that
Hmm.
wants to play that part, because there's an audience in 2021,
Absolutely.
like prove that, right?
Hmm.
So there will be a niche for that, but I don't think that will be the one that make the Web3 like mainstream.
Hmm. You said something very important right now where you're noticing game developers are kind of letting go of the financial aspect, right? GameFi, like you said, it's not going anywhere, but it's kind of like being kind of put to sleep in a way. Like let it, they're gonna be a niche, but you said that games are focusing on not not the financial part. Maybe you could build a game with just NFTs, right? What do you think? I want you to elaborate on that. You spoke to me before about how you guys are implementing blockchain into the gaming sector in a very innovative way, right? So what can you talk about, or what do you think will allow games to actually be a little bit more user friendly, if you will, to someone who doesn't know about Web3, but still the game has Web3 functionalities?
Yeah, and just to like get back to the financial part, I don't think that is putting like sleep or
Mm.
they're removing that part, because at the end of the day, if you have the ability to convert your NFTs into dollars, there is financial part involved, even if
True.
you don't want to.
Yeah.
So the only thing is that they're not making that as a selling point. You
Yeah.
know,
True.
it's not like, oh, come here and make money with my NFTs or my tokens.
Absolutely.
It's more about, and even the same design from the games are being like modified, so you cannot go straightforward like, oh, I mint this NFT and I wait like to for the game to be popular and I will sell it,
Yeah.
because the same kind of like game designers are forcing holders to get involved in the game so they can trade
Yeah.
before being allowed to trade or adding value to that asset.
Yeah.
And for the question, like, it will be what will be like the more um, kind of like the innovation in Web3? What was
Yeah,
the
it
question?
was like what should games be focused on, especially like in the Web3 sector, right? Like you mentioned how you guys are building a game infusing blockchain, but it's not like your core focus. You're doing it from a
Oh
core
yeah, for the
standpoint,
next year, right?
exactly for
Yeah.
payment purposes. But my question was like, what can games do moving forward where they can still implement blockchain without it distracting people? Like, well, I don't know about crypto, therefore I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, I can mention like several games that are like inspiring me in that
Hmm.
part. Like I use them as a reference
Yeah.
to actually they are like thinking about it as a customer journey or like a funnel for marketing, right? Where your game is it's the start of the journey and users play the game and they see what's the value in the entertainment part.
Hmm.
And just as a free to play game, you have free players that play the game and don't spend a dime on the game, and you have players that don't spend a dollar but watch ads, and
Yeah.
then you have like the $5 spenders, the $10 spenders, the thousands of dollar spenders. So I've seen some games that are like implementing a new layer there, like, oh, you are already spending hundreds of dollars,
Yeah.
like, don't you want to get those assets in the blockchain so you can like go and trade them, because in a game not all the assets will be like not necessarily will be useful for you like forever.
Hmm.
If you have played any game, you see you can recognize that, oh, I have my beginner weapon,
Yeah.
but when I level 100, why would I still use my beginner weapon?
Yeah.
But you can actually take that and trade for someone that is playing the game the first week, right?
Yeah.
So you can like even like burn those tokens, get new ones, or trade them on an open market, depending on the game itself.
Yeah.
There's not like a unique design for all the games. Even though maybe 2 years ago or 1 year ago,
Yeah.
we were seeing like a lot of copycats for Axie Infinity, a lot of copycats for Gala games, where
Yeah.
everyone was using the same economic like design. But right now, like game developers are like actually getting more creative and smart in the way they are designing the game.
Yeah.
And they're being super innovative with the user experience onboarding part using technology like custodial wallets, or maybe introducing the blockchain technology after days or weeks after playing the game. But I don't think that right now I can give you like a solid example, because
Yeah.
game developer takes time.
Yeah.
If if we start developing a game today, we might see the first version like in a year, and that's what it's making Web3 kind of like super slow compared to like delivering a new token or a new NFT collection where there's
Yeah.
nothing there, right?
Yeah.
So it's we will see more of what we're talking about maybe next year,
Yeah.
next summer, where the game developer cycle is more mature.
That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense, man. I think that's the thing about crypto in general. I mean, us being in the space, impatience kind of seems to be the name of the game sometimes. We want something fast,
Yeah.
we want some profit, something that makes us money with the lowest amount of risk possible, which is actually nearly impossible. But um, Dante, the last question I have for you, what are you personally bullish on in this next year? What do you expect to see in the coming years, specifically in gaming? What are you most bullish on?
Uh, if I have to pick one a feature of Web3
Mm,
and gaming where they overlap, I would say user-generated content.
mm,
That thing, it's the I think that's where it makes the most sense. Like it just makes sense to actually give you the ownership of what you are creating for a game. It might be kind of like a partial ownership, because maybe you still need the game as a platform to develop or monetize your creations. But at the end of the day, that's something that we can put the layer of Web3 in those creations and allow users to have more power on the decision making of what they're doing with that creation.
mhm,
Um, Give them the platform to actually have utility and uh, a place where they can monetize that creation.
mhm.
It's something that I think could add a lot of value for those creators, because there are a lot of creators. You have games already providing like creation tools for gaming, Roblox, now Unreal with the Fortnite, adding this layer of creation for players.
Yeah.
But I really do think that you can create more kind of engagement if you provide the ownership in the mix.
Mm,
If you create a map and you can own that, and you can decide if you are going to monetize it or not. Maybe you are going to have a relationship with your developer, like, hey, I want to create an event with you for next Halloween. I created this map is sick. We have like a lot of pumpkins, skeletons, and a whole like Halloween theme. And
yeah.
I want to monetize that, and you can do that. And at the same time, you can decide like, okay, let's put maybe another layer of economic or game loops inside that creation.
Yeah.
Some games are already doing that. We have games like this huge game, Shrapnel, incentivizing users to create new elements in the game, from
Mm,
skins, from logos to maps to and those creations are going to be on the blockchain tokenized.
yeah.
And I think that will be a huge win for creators,
Yeah.
and it will open a lot of doors. Ourselves are betting on that in our own game. It's a game that it's going to be soon to be announced. It's going
Yeah.
to be announced soon, And but we are using user-generated content and Web3 to actually provide value. Maybe my opinion here is a little bit based because I'm using that technology in that approach,
Yeah.
but that's the reason why we're doing that in the first place. So
Well,
yeah.
no, I'm biased too. I mean, UGC, I think content in general is finally getting the respect that it's needed because now, I mean, like you mentioned, Dookie Dash, right? The creator made money after the fact that he won because he sold the asset, right? And everyone's saying, well,
Yes.
now gamers and these UGC creators are it's a form of, first of all, it's a career, and now it's like this is a new economy that's being established, that's been established a long time ago, but now it's like, look what you can do, right? So I think completely on the same page in terms of UGC. So very exciting. Dante, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chatting with me today to talk about your background in gaming, your take on GameFi, the future of gaming, and creative ways to for developers to think about how to infuse blockchain within their game. So thank you again, man, for sharing the time today.
No, thank you, Luis, and see you around.
Of course,
It
it
was a
won't be the
pleasure, and I appreciate the time.
of course, man, it won't be the last time. Until next time, my man.
See ya.